In this episode, I got to talk to Ayla Will, who lives in an RV with her family. She is raising adventurous, confident kids. She grew up on a farm, spending hours outside every day. And when she became a mom, that lifestyle naturally became a part of how she raised her kids. We talk about how her family became more intentional about outdoor life through 1,000 hours outside, getting outside no matter what the weather, living in an RV and homeschooling and being a low screen family has shaped their family culture. We also talk about encouraging kids to take risks, build resilience, finding low cost ways to adventure as a family. And we really dove into that. I wanted to talk about, as we're planning our summers, what it could look like when we're on a budget, or how to explore close to home. And so she really shared about that, and that was really helpful and interesting to hear about. So this is a really good reminder that adventure doesn't always have to be big or expensive, but it can be really meaningful, and it really can develop beautiful children and relationships within our family.
Welcome to Let's Go Outside, a podcast bringing moms together to chat about the raw, unfiltered reality of doing the exploring we love after having kids. No matter your comfort level of adventuring with the little ones, this is a space to have honest conversations about the real struggles of getting out the door with the kiddos. I'm Danica, a mama living in a small mountain town who's totally obsessed with healthy food and taking my kids outside every single day. I professionally guided backpacking trips in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm certified as a Leave No Trace instructor. On the show, you'll hear real experiences from other moms, plus tips on gear, trail snacks, and the best practices in the wilderness. Whether it's hiking, camping, backpacking, skiing, or traveling the world you want to do more of, this is your place to learn, find encouragement, and strip away any comparison. Come embrace both motherhood and the outdoors. Stick around. This is your place. Welcome to the Outdoor Mom Club.
Welcome to the Let's Go Outside podcast. I'm super excited to welcome Ayla Will to the show today. She runs the account The Wilderness Family and shares lots of encouraging, positive content on there. So welcome here, Ayla.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, as we start, would you jump in and tell us about yourself and your family, what that looks like these days?
For sure. Yeah, so we're a Canadian family of 5. We have 2 girls and a boy, and we live in an RV. We homeschool, unschool kind of thing. And we are, part of the year, we're stationary at my in-laws, which is where we currently are. We're about to start traveling again. And yeah, our goal in life is to spend as much time with our kids as possible while they're still little. So I work from home on social media, and my husband is working on some online stuff, and he does seasonal work. So from about April till October, November, he's home full time. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And we spend as much time outside as possible too. So
That's awesome. How long have you been traveling and living in the RV? Because you're mostly permanent,
So
but then you
this
do some
coming-
traveling.
yeah. So this coming June is 2 years.
Okay. And
Yeah.
is that something that you guys will do long term? Is it working well for your family?
I think so. Yeah. I wasn't so sure. Like, we didn't have a huge house before. We were in a mobile home, but this actually, we all really like the small space, and it makes us spend more time outside. And when we are together, we're very together. So it's really good if you want to spend a lot of time together as a family. And then if everybody's crazy, we just go outside.
That's awesome. I love
But yeah,
that.
I can see us doing it for quite a while yet. Our oldest is 12. And sometimes I think maybe at some point we'd like to upgrade to a bigger RV when we can afford something else where maybe she can have her own room or something. But yeah, for now it's working for us.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear about your parenting style as low screen family. You live in an RV, lots of times outside, you homeschool. I want to know, was this something that you grew up with, or did you intentionally go this direction when you had kids?
Yeah. So, excuse me. So when we first had kids, I had really bad postpartum depression and anxiety that went undiagnosed for probably like 4 or 5 years. It never actually did get diagnosed, but looking back, I know that's what it was now. So I did a lot of screens back then, but we still tried to spend as much time outside as possible. And then at some point I realized that was not what we wanted for our kids. And the way I was raised, I mean, we're typical 90s kids, but I grew up on a farm, and our family was very conservative. We didn't watch TV or anything. So low screens made sense for us. We might watch like some National Geographic or something occasionally. And other than that, we were just outside. So I wanted to change things a little bit different, a little bit for our kids because my dad was a workaholic and we never saw him, even though we were all on the farm. But so we knew we didn't want that for our kids, which is why my husband tries to be home as much as possible. Yeah, when I think our youngest was probably about 1 was the first time he took time off work just to stay home, and we didn't really have any plan, just a little bit of savings. So about then, that's when we decided we just want to spend as much time with our kids as possible and just get lots of time outside and just work with them instead of just working and they're just kind of there, if that makes any sense. I don't know. But yeah, so I was also homeschooled. My husband was partly homeschooled for a few years, and I actually never planned on it
Okay.
until I worked in schools. And then I was like, no, that's not what we want for our kids. And yeah, then we just decided to homeschool and be outside as much as possible. And so I think partly it was a little bit of our upbringing, but also we do it very differently than the way we grew up, where we're just always with our kids and family is the most important thing to us. And then we just live on a crazy budget to make it work.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that you kind of have chosen your values and your purpose and your direction you want to go. And then you make it work with what you have. And it's
Mhm.
all kind of filtered through that lens.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have people, books, or resources that you look up to or that that support your lifestyle or that you gain wisdom from?
Yeah. I think 1,000 hours outside has been a big one. We found that,
Okay.
I can't remember if we're on our 3rd or 4th year,
Okay.
but we've been doing that consistently. And that really helped us make sure, like, I get maybe a little bit too into it. And I've had to back off the last couple of years and be like, oh, it's okay if we didn't get this many hours outside today. We're fine.
Yeah.
But that's been a big one for me. And then, excuse me, and then Call of the Wild and Free was one of the first books I read when we were just getting into homeschooling. And so reading that and then following her Wild and Free page, that has
Okay.
been a big one, a big influence. And then there's just other books like There's No Such Thing as Bad Weather and Let Them Be Kids and that kind of, those were all ones that have just all worked together to kind of build the way we parent.
Love that. And do your kids get excited about 1,000 hours outside? Like, are they tracking, like paying attention to the tracking of it too? Or is it mostly?
They'll ask me off and on, and I'll like tell them when we get a new badge because we use the app. And I was terrible at remembering the coloring in the charts, so we just use the app.
Okay.
So they'll get excited when they're like, oh, we've only got like 600 hours to go or something. And then once we get over, they're like, well, that was really cool. Now we've got way more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's mostly I do it for me, but it keeps me accountable to make sure everybody's getting outside.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I have heard lots about that. I have not used the app or the tracker yet. I am mostly focused on just trying to go outside once a day. And I
Yeah.
think with like backpacking trips and camping trips, we definitely hit over, but I haven't sat down to calculate it. So it would
Yeah.
be fascinating to see. Do you feel like it mostly racks up in the summer?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think once we hit about April is where it started really going. I think we got like double the hours we'd gotten in any of the months before.
Yeah.
So yeah, April till about September is when it starts to get cold here, beginning of September. So that, and we still go outside if it's like -40, but it's not for very long because obviously that's not fun.
Yes.
But yeah, summer is definitely when we get like a lot of like 7 to 10 hour days, sometimes more. If we go backpacking or something, I know a lot of people argue about how to count their hours, but I feel like
Okay.
a bear could eat me if I'm in a tent, so I count that. We never put the fly on our tent anyway, so it could get in there.
Yes.
We can see the sky. It counts.
Yes, love that. Yes, my own rule is if it's insanely windy and the trees look like they're going sideways, that day doesn't count. And if it's below -20, that doesn't count. Those are my
Yeah.
like day free. And now that I've had a baby, it's a little bit like, okay, you get like 2 days off a month. Or, like I've been playing around with this because I'm like, okay, I really still want to do something that challenges me. I think I'm like a number 3 on the Enneagram. So I'm like, okay, I want to do something still that challenges my family to go outside and spend time, but also a balance for where our family's at right now. So it's good to
Yeah.
hear that 1,000 hours is a good system for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to find a balance and just whatever works for you because I have one friend who did it for a year or two and then she's like, nope, I don't like to count, but I guarantee they get way more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
they get at least what we get. So,
And I feel
Yeah.
like it's just fascinating to count and see like, oh, where do we actually land on the spectrum?
mhm,
Like, are we way below or way over? Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome resource. In your content and your videos, your kids look very confident and capable in the outdoors, really stoked to be out there. And what do you think has helped them build that self-confidence and resilience to go outside again and again and try these things?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have days where they don't want to, and I have to be like, "Get outside, you need it."
Mhm.
But yeah, we've always since they were little, I know it can be controversial for some people. When they were I say our oldest was probably 3, so we had, like, 1.5 and 3. I would send them outside where I could see them from all the windows. They knew they had to stay in where I could see them from those windows, and I'd basically just stand inside with the baby, and they would go outside, and just do that for a little bit just to get them used to being out there without somebody and just
Okay.
figuring out the boundaries, and
Mhm.
then, yeah, I feel like once they were all, like, 4 and up, like, they just go outside and do who knows what. But our youngest is 8 now, and then half the time, I don't even know where they are.
Mm.
But, yeah, so we've just always we set them out early and, like, obviously watching them to make sure they're
Mhm.
okay, but we give them the tools to make sure that they're safe out there, like, they know to stay away from water. If they do go down to water because we live beside the river, they know how to check for rotten ice and make sure that, like, they know they're not supposed to go on it, but if they did, they know how to check if the ice is rotten, and we just always have made sure that we work with them to make sure they're capable and, like, push them outside their comfort zones, give them tools like knives and stuff so that when they do screw up with it, we're around,
Mm.
and then they know for next time. So far, we've never had anything major happen, just broken bones
Yeah.
and a couple of cuts, but actually never anything from a tool, always been something else. But yeah, and yeah, we just make sure that we teach them how to do dangerous things carefully and we're there if they need us, but
Mhm.
we don't go hold their hand to do it if they don't actually need us there anymore to do it.
That's good. Yeah. That they you can kind of see and build that trust and that relationship with them because you're
Mhm.
with them every day.
Yeah.
And then you can give them more freedom, it sounds like. And I feel as though you guys living in an RV would push you guys outside more. Like I've always said, like, I want a house that's like completely all windows so it feels like I'm outside. But honestly, like the RV sounds like it would push you outside a lot too. Like you would just end up spending way more time outside. Is that the case since you've lived there?
It does, yeah, because I wanna say we have, like, 200 square feet? Like,
Wow.
ours is a big RV, 37 feet, and it's a bumper pull, so that makes it yeah, but anyway, it's 37 feet, and that's not a lot of space for 5 people and a dog.
Mhm.
So, it gets loud very, very fast. Our rule is just you have to go outside if you're being loud. You have to go outside when you're done school, unless it's, like, pouring rain or, like, absolutely disgusting, then you don't have to go outside long term. But also, we currently, when we're stationary in the winter, we have our RV under a greenhouse. So, if
Okay.
it is really yucky, they can go play out there, and I count that as outside when it's really gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has definitely pushed us to get outside more because it's such a small space and any noise just multiplies, and sometimes we just have to go outside so that we don't all lose our marbles.
Yeah. Totally. I wanted to dive into talking about adventuring and exploring, but also with finances in mind and expenses and thinking about that. And so I wanted to ask you about that. I know you guys do a lot of kind of local and like within BC and within your area and even just within your property. And so I feel like there's a misconception that adventuring and trips and everything needs to be really expensive to be special or to have like a membership or to have these things. And I would be curious to hear what you have to say to families that want to get outside but are wondering how we can do this within a budget.
Yeah, for sure. I think we tend to overcomplicate things, and then we look on like Instagram and everything. We're like, wow, they are obviously out doing these fun things all day, every day. And I don't think for most people that's the reality. We all have
Yeah.
to work and do normal things.
Mhm.
But for us, I think even just small things, like I asked the kids before I did this what their favorite kind of adventure is. And they're like, oh, just going for a walk to the river.
Mhm.
So like we go down and pick up rocks and stuff and the stuff like that, or even just like taking a tent. I think ours was bought on sale at some point or like secondhand. Like these things don't have to be expensive. All of our backcountry gear and everything was either like very cheap or secondhand. My backpack is a bazillion years old, but it works. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think we tend to overcomplicate it and think that it has to be this really cool thing to be able to make memories and spend time with our kids. Go to the park and have a picnic or like even read books outside. We go sit on the trampoline and read books and just go for little walks in the yard, try to find some bugs or leaves or something. And just to take advantage of the little moments and to look for those little things versus just trying to feeling like we need to be planning a big trip to keep up with everybody that we're seeing and do all the really fancy things, and just, yeah, to stay within your budget because that's big for us. Like, we really don't like being in debt. To try and, even if you're just going a little ways, I know obviously for us that's a lot easier because we're very rural, and so you can hike basically anywhere here. There's nature everywhere, and some people, obviously, like if you're in a city or something, that's gonna be a little more difficult. But I think all of us have some access to outside. And if you're just going for a bike ride down the sidewalk or like going and playing on the balcony or something. So I think those are all good ways to get outside and excuse me, spend time with your kids. They don't cost very much.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's so cool that you asked your kids and they said, "I walk to the river," because
Mhm.
I think that proves the point. Like, we in our heads think that it needs to be this like crazy, extravagant adventure, but these simple everyday things is their favorite thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something we do all the time. I would love to go overseas and stuff, and at some point we will do that, but for now, I've never even been out of Canada, and we still have a ton of fun, so
Yeah.
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 It's how we look at it, I think, and if you decide you're going to have fun with it and that this is going to be a good adventure, I think it will be.
Yeah, totally. And I love that you touched on you have used gear or old gear for backpacking, because that totally works. Like, if we can get out there and use what we have. Yesterday, I was just thinking about kind of imposter syndrome in terms of when we don't have the right gear to do the adventures that we want to
Mhm.
do. And maybe that stops us. And so I guess I was thinking about how, we should go with people that make us feel, first off, comfortable and stoked to do these adventures, even if we have whatever gear we have. Like, just as we're getting into it, you can use a used tent or a bazillion-year-old backpack. And that's great.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have this brand new gear.
Totally. And like even we do this backcountry snowshoeing trip every spring, early spring with my girls and a bunch of ladies from our church, and we hike 7 kilometers, I think, after after snowmobiling for like an hour.
Hey.
And so we have to snowshoe up into this cabin and we stay there for the weekend. And this this year, all of our snowshoes are secondhand. And my best friend wanted to come with her daughter, and I was like, "Oh, I have snowshoes." Turns out the snowshoes I took, I hadn't tried yet. I had just grabbed them secondhand. We got up there, she walked over, she's like, the buckles all just fell off." So we
Oh.
took bungee cords and zip ties
Yes.
and stuck them to her feet. And by the time we got up there, this was the worst trip ever for snowshoes. There were multiple people who were zip tied or bungee corded by the time we got there. And I mean, it worked, and we all got up there and they worked coming back down. Eventually it was hard. The snow was frozen enough on the way down that her and I both took ours off eventually because we were both having issues with our snowshoes. I was wearing my husband's and they were too big for my feet and they kept trying to fall off.
Oh, man.
So, because our younger daughter, hers had broken just before we got up there. I was like, well, that's not going to work. So then she used her sister's and her sister used mine. And yeah, so it was quite the snowshoe trip, but it all worked. We got up there even though it was bungee corded together.
I feel like it sounds like
had a blast.
one of those experiences where it's like a good thing you were all kind of in the same boat, where you're like, we can all do this
Totally.
together, but we're all like, this is a struggle fest together. And that's what's going to make the memories of this trip.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And
We'll
I
talk about
feel
it for a
like
long time.
in that scenario, if you really enjoy snowshoeing and you have these used snowshoes, you can imagine what it would be like with snowshoes that do work. And so you could
Right?
invest in snowshoes if you like that activity, getting into these things. I was just thinking about, like, even if we don't have the right gear to start off or to like go and do these things, what can we get at the thrift store or borrow from a friend to get and do and start
Mhm.
these adventures?
Yeah, totally. We do that all the time and it works for us.
Is the cabin that you go to a public cabin, or is it like a friend's cabin?
Yeah, it's a public backcountry. You have to rent it, but it's a backcountry cabin that's been done by a local club.
Okay. Is
Up in the
it like an
Alpine, yeah.
ACC hut? Do you know?
I'm not sure actually.
Okay.
I'd have to look into it. I just know the
Okay.
local club built it and maintained it, and yeah.
Okay. Cool. I think I've seen a few of your videos from that. It looks like a super fun
Yeah.
time. That's awesome that you go in the spring. I feel like I always think of going in the winter, but April is a good time to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's nice down here, but it's still very frozen and snowy up there.
Yeah. And do you have any encouragement for mindset when money feels tight and still wanting to do adventures and do fun things, but kind of still struggling with comparison? Do you have any insight for us?
Yeah, I think life is what you make it. And if you choose to find joy every day and to see your little adventures as enough and not be constantly looking to everybody else to see what you could be doing better and what you could have if you had more money, I think that is enough.
Mhm.
And I know I see a lot of people where they're doing stuff that looks so much more fun than the things we're doing sometimes. And sometimes I like, oh, there's no point even sharing this because how boring is it to go walk down the road in front of our house and pick some flowers? But that actually is really fun. And the kids love picking flowers or like going down to the river and throwing some rocks. And yeah,
Mhm.
I think your mindset is the biggest part. And for us, staying out of debt is a lot more appealing than going into debt to go do all these things or working nonstop and only being able to do them occasionally. I think that the way you choose to see it will majorly impact how your day actually goes. And if you can go have a ton of fun without spending a lot of money, like the backpacking thing and everything, we've done lots of backpacking trips and we don't spend hardly anything on them. And you can just go camp at a lake, and most like rec sites or something are not that expensive. Or you can go, we do a lot of boondocking where you don't even have to pay for a site. And if you're
Mhm.
willing to go rough it, you can go have a lot of fun. So
That's so true. I do feel like there's been a lot of push about for backpacking and stuff of like, book your campsites now and make sure you get a site. And honestly, I live in an area where it's not like we don't have to do that quite yet. And so I'm always like, that is stressful. Also, like, first off, it's stressful. But second off, like, I don't want to pay for this. Like, I mean, I would pay for it
right.
because it's incredible. But also, like, I can still go to places where it's free or like I don't have to plan that far in advance. And I am grateful.
Exactly. Yeah, and we are big on winging it, so a lot of times booking it way in advance does not work for us. We're like, "Oh, shoot, we were gonna do that, but this is actually something we'd rather do right now." So, yeah.
And I was thinking about you saying that you go down the road again and again, or you pick flowers again and again. And I think that those moments and experiences sit with our kids, right? Like, I think it's not always like we did this crazy big adventure. I mean, they do remember that, but they're also going to remember the feeling of it being consistent and you doing that again and again together as a family and what
Mhm.
memories that's going to build into for the long term. And that's really beautiful for your kids.
And I think the attitude you have about it is huge because you're like, "Oh, man, we just get to walk down the road again today," then they're also going to not have fun. But if you're like, "Yeah, we get to go for a walk," they all get excited too because the way that we act, they feed off of that, and they see instead of us just being like, "Okay, well, we're gonna go have fun," even though we're very obviously not having fun. I think that's really important to just decide how we're going to react to everything.
Totally. Yeah, I think that tone follows through from us to them. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. And it's we've got to set that tone for our kids and make that super fun. Yeah. Mamas, if you've been around here for a while, you know I have a soft spot for brands that help us get outside more often, even when life feels chaotic. Wadlore is one of those brands I've always admired. I'm super on board with their mission, empowering mamas to stay connected with nature in every season of motherhood. And when we're warm and comfortable, everything gets easier. Getting out the door, being present, and actually enjoying all the moments with our kids. Their All Phases fleece is smart and totally intentionally designed to be in your closet for years to come. It's made specifically for motherhood and designed to be fit before, during, and after pregnancy, nursing, and postpartum. The nursing access is subtle and genuinely life-changing for when you're feeding your baby mid-hike perched on a log. And the side zippers adapt to your growing belly. If you've been eyeing it, consider this your nudge. Wadlore is offering 15% off with the code Let's Go Outside 15. Check out the All Phases fleece and let it support you in getting outside and connecting with what matters most in every season. If you're looking to hit your protein goals, balance your blood sugar levels, and energize your day, I have just the recipes for you. I have compiled the top high protein snack recipes from my food blog into a mini e-cookbook. They're easy to make with whole food ingredients. Many of the recipes include nuts, hemp hearts, or eggs as the main source of protein. To get this free ebook, go to besidethemountain.com/protein-ebook or check out the show notes below. Okay, so in Canada, we have such defined seasons. I feel like the summer is just so sunny and incredible, long days, and the winter is short, cold days. And feel like we are trying to plan, get outside, fit the most in that we can. And so I want to know about your family. I'm sure you feel this living in, is it central BC, I guess?
Yeah.
Do you guys plan specific adventures Do you guys have big plans for this summer in the RV, or what's that looking like for you? How do you guys approach summer?
Yeah, so we usually come up with a list of places we'd like to go. Some things like we go visit family and stuff, those are pretty normal. Like those are things we do every year, so they're always on our list. And then we'll pick a few things we want to go do. And then we're pretty spontaneous and just we kind of wing it. And we usually decide a couple days before if we want to go somewhere. And then once we get there, we're like, well, this is really nice. Let's just stay here for a while. Or if we don't like it, we're like, okay, well, let's go. Last year we went to Alberta and we spent I think almost a week on the side of the freeway at this little pond because the kids absolutely loved it. It had ducks and you could go paddle boarding and I think they were scuba diving in it or snorkeling,
Really?
pretending to scuba dive with my wetsuit, which was way too big and looked hilarious, but they were having a blast. We spent like a week just sitting there on the side of the freeway. Like you could see the cars go by, but there were other people camping here. So it's obviously a spot that people use. And yeah, we just stayed there for a week. And part of it, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go find somewhere that actually has a
Yeah.
view and not just the freeway. Yeah, we kind of just we get there and we decide how long we're going to stay and sometimes we come home early and or move on early and sometimes we'll be there for a couple weeks and we just stay as long as everybody's having fun and we don't have anywhere else we need to be. So that's kind of how we do it.
That is such a amazing side of living in an RV and being able to take it with you where you go because you literally have everything that you need.
Hmm.
Um, and you can do that. So I love that you lean into your kids' interests and desires.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to as much as possible and just make sure everybody's still having a blast. I have to work on it myself because um sometimes my attitude because I would like to just go and see all the things and do all the stuff and everybody else is like, "Okay, let's just sit down and have fun by the lake." I'm like, "Okay, we can do this and I don't have to see all the things right now. There'll be time later." So,
Yes. And do you guys have any hikes or backpacking trips or anything that you'd like to do this summer?
we don't have a lot of backpacking trips except there's one we would like to go. There's a place we went years ago when our youngest was 5, I think. I think he was about to turn 6 or about to turn 5, one of the two. Anyway, we went and we did this hike and it's like 15 kilometers each way. That's as far as we
Wow.
got. We were supposed to go down to the glacier, but we couldn't make it down to the glacier because we ran out of time and everybody was tired. And we're like, okay, we're just going to camp here at this little alpine lake for the weekend. And so there's another way you can come into it, but it's a little bit sketchy because it's so overgrown and everything. So we're thinking we might try to go like bushwhack through there and see if we can get in and actually go see the glacier this year.
Okay.
So I think that's the only one we have actually planned. There's a couple others we might do. I'd like to go back up to the cabin during the summer and take our son and my husband because our son really, really wants to go. But when the men's group went, because there's also the men from our church go, my husband was working evening shift, so he wasn't able to take him. So he really wants to go. Summer might work too. He really wants to snowshoe, but he might settle for summer.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I know when you do a special girls trip, the guys do not want to be left
Mhm.
out.
No,
And huts are fun. I feel like huts
they
and
are.
it's so perfect for a family too to go and
Mhm.
experience something like that. It's so good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
we did another one, a more local one where we cross country skied in. So he got to come for that. And now he's obsessed and he's like, "We should make a house like this." I think it might be a little bit small, but we're used to the trailer, so maybe it wouldn't.
Well, compared to your trailer, yeah, right? Like that's his starting point,
Totally, yeah.
probably. In your videos, I really admire how you very present and joyful. I don't know if you feel that way, but that's what you portray, I would say. And it looks like you've learned to slow down and be present with them. And I mean, as you said earlier on, that is your goal is to, spend as much time as you can with them while they're young. So do you have ways that you specifically slow down instead of being distracted by your phone, your to-do list, or anything else that you're pulling you away from your attention with them?
Yeah, it's definitely hard for me because I grew up where resting was not something you do, and if you're sitting down, like, "Why are you sitting down? Go do something." So, it's
Mhm.
hard for me, but I have really been intentional the last few years about trying to make sure that I take time out of my day to sit down and relax and just, like, go outside with the kids and have fun, even if I'm just sitting there reading a book and they're jumping on the trampoline or something. My phone is definitely hard considering, like, it's my work, so I do have to use it, and I do have to go on it during the day, especially if I have a brand deal or something I need to do, but, I use the brick, and that makes a huge difference for me because it makes me just I have to go into my room and, like, under my cupboard and hit it on the brick if I actually want to use it. So it makes me think about actually doing it. If I'm outside, that's really inconvenient. So that makes a big difference for me. And then I think just having little routines, like I would like to get back. We haven't done nearly as many read alouds as I would like to lately, but that's something that has always really helped where we just like sit down on the couch and read. And we always try to go outside every day for at least a little while. And the kids are outside for hours. I always try to make sure I get out there too. And then just ever since our kids quit napping, I think I started it mostly because I'm definitely an introvert and I need some downtime to recharge. So once they quit napping, we did quiet time and we've just always done that ever since. So after lunch, we have an hour where it doesn't always happen, but I'm not supposed to be talked to. And they go outside or they play in their room and I get to read a book or something. And unless there's something going on that I need to intervene, we have quiet time. And I think that's been a big thing that's made me like slow down and make sure I actually rest. And then, yeah, just the kids, think seeing how fast they grow up, because I know everybody says that and it sounds very cliche, but they actually really do grow up crazy fast. Like our oldest is almost as tall as me and she acts like a teenager now. She's not quite there, but she acts like it. I feel like just seeing them grow up that fast, like, okay, I missed a lot and I need to actually slow down and just pay attention and spend this time with them while they're still little and they actually want to spend all their time with me and they're not just off with friends and living their life and everything. So, yeah, I think just seeing rest as productive and seeing that our kids are growing up crazy fast have been big ones for me.
That's good. It sounds like you kind of are very self-aware of it and are actively seeking to spend more time and to be present with them. I'm
Yeah.
curious because your kids are older than mine. If you, how old are your kids again? Would you share that?
We have 8, almost 11, and 12.
Okay. Uh, they're definitely, you are a few seasons ahead of me. I'm curious. So if they go outside and they're doing their own thing and then you are, I feel like it is, I have heard from other people and other moms, like it's easy to just stay in the house at that point because they are, entertained outside.
Yep.
So once you choose to go outside with them or like while they're outside, do you feel like you're interacting with them or like what does your outside time look like?
For sure. Yeah, it is way too easy. And a lot of times, like, I'll send them out in the morning or, like, after quiet time, and that's when I'll work. But then I try to get outside. And when I do go outside, sometimes, like I said, I'm just sitting down reading a book for a little while to just relax and get some sunshine. But then a lot of times they'll ask for a walk or something. We'll go for a walk or occasionally, and honestly, we don't actually do adventures away from our house very often, but we'll go for a drive and go for a hike or something. And yeah, a lot of it is just I try to go, like, we go for a walk or something, and just aside from taking some pictures or something, I'll try to keep my phone in my pocket, and we just hang out and talk, and they like to show me all the things they find, even, like, little sticks and all kinds of things, but it's what they think is cool. Go out and my sister-in-law has horses, and 'cause we live on, like, a family property when we're stationary, so there's a whole bunch of us here, and just go out and see the animals or go for a walk and pick some flowers. Yeah, just try to do whatever we can that they're into. We'll take books outside and read them out there. And yeah, in the summer, actually, we eat outside and everything most of the time. So I try to be intentional about spending time with them. And then they'll go and my husband goes around and works on different things around the place. And they go with him and help fix a dirt bike or build something or whatever we're needing done right then. So I feel like most of the time we're pretty hands on. Sometimes they're off in the bushes exploring and it's like, oh, I didn't know you went that far. But yeah, when we're outside, we'll definitely try to try to spend time with them and just be intentional about building that relationship and having fun with them.
It's really special. I think that they will for sure remember that and it will make a big impact on them.
I hope so.
Yes. As we close out, would you share a story of your favorite moment outside with your kids?
Yeah, I feel like that's a hard one because there's so many, but I think one of them, and it doesn't sound like it should be a good memory because it was kind of scary when it started, but then it was fun. But we went and the hike I was talking about that was like 15 kilometers in one way or something. We did not realize it was this intense when we took the kids out there. And I think they were like, if our youngest was 5, I think the girls would have been about 7 and 9, something like that. Um, depending on the time of the year. But anyway, we went out there and we had accidentally taken the wrong trail for a little bit once we got to the top of this one ridge finally after hiking all day up this crazy steep thing. And then I was like, that looks like some thunderclouds over there. And then all of a sudden this storm hit us and we're standing on top of a mountain with 3 kids and a dog who's terrified of thunder. And we're like, oh shoot, well, what do we do with this? And my husband's like, okay, well, we're going to make it fun. So we found these rocks really quick. We're like, we need some kind of shelter because you don't want to be sitting on the top of a mountain with the lightning there. So like, let's try to make something so that we're not like just standing up being the tallest thing. And so he grabbed a tarp that he had brought for putting under the tent. And we all sat down on these giant rocks. And I was on a very sharp rock, which I found out once the dog sat on my lap. He's like a border collie and sitting on my lap.
Yeah, no.
And because he was scared. And we just sat under this tarp and read Nancy Drew for like half an hour while the storm went by. Just came out and went and found this tiny little spot to camp on the side of the mountain for the night in our very tiny tent that we did not all plan to sleep in. Some were going to sleep under the stars, but it was too buggy and steep to sleep there that night. So we were all in this little 2-man tent or something. But it ended up being such a good memory that we all talk about. And the kids are like, do you remember when we sat on top of the mountain and we read Nancy Drew and Tucker sat on your lap and your rock was really pointy? And then we all tried to sleep in the tent and it was way too small and we kept sleeping on top of each other. I thought I saw a porcupine in the middle of the night, but I was sleeping. It's the most random things, but it ended up being really fun looking back at it. And it's just, I guess it's one of those, I call it like type 2 fun or something like that, where it's like, it really sucked when we were doing it, but we made it fun. And now it's a really good memory that we talk about all the time.
That's not something that you could make up, right? Like that's not something that you could try and create, but it will be a core memory that will stick with them and that they'll always want to do that kind of stuff with their kids probably.
I hope so. Yeah.
That's so
it's
beautiful.
Definitely fun.
Do you have a favorite piece of gear or equipment or any product that you want to share or shout out to us today?
Yeah, not any like particular brands really, because like I said, a lot of our stuff is either on sale or cheap. But I think for me, my favorite things are probably a paddleboard or my hammock. Those are things I use a lot in the summer just to go like either sit in the shade and read a book for a little bit to get some quiet time or go paddling. Usually that ends up with the kids, so it's not nearly as calm of an activity, but I really enjoy going out there. And then for the kids, honestly, the best thing we ever bought was, there's a bit of a disagreement whether we bought it or we got it for free, because I thought we got it for free. My husband thinks we paid like $50 or something. But our trampoline, we got it off Marketplace when it blew away in a storm, and we just had to bend some things back together and sew up one little patch. And I think we got that like 10 years ago probably, and our kids still will spend hours every single day. Like in the summer when we're home, they live on it. And I think that was probably like the best thing ever that we ever got. And it wasn't expensive. Like lots of times you can find trampolines for cheap. They don't have to be the nice, I would love a nice big one, but like the whole springless thing and everything. But this works great, and it was either free or cheap depending who you ask. So yeah, those are the things I would say we use the most.
I love that. I love that a hammock and a paddleboard can also be things that the kids can join you with, but also it's like, okay, I'm going to go do this thing alone independently and have some quiet time as a mom. And it's so versatile. Love those. The trampoline, one thought on that. Right now, me and my husband are like, kind of like, should we get a trampoline? Should we not? But how are you finding it for risk or injuries?
Yeah, I know that's a big one, definitely for a lot of people. We've never had anything serious happen on it. And honestly, ours last year, we had to go replace all the springs because they were flying off while the kids were on there. And we don't have a spring cover or like the thing that goes around the side or a net. And our kids have always just learned you don't bounce at the side. So far, nobody has fallen off and gotten hurt. Well, our oldest is 12 and they've all been playing on the trampoline since they were little. But yeah, for us, the more dangerous things here have been like bikes and hay bales. That's where our worst, or tag. Like our son broke his finger playing tag. Those are where our injuries have come from, not from the trampoline. And they spend literally hours and hours out there every day.
Okay. Good to hear. Good. I'd like to get the inside scoop from another mom.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things you have to decide if the risk outweighs the benefit for you. Like some people, obviously, they're going to be like, no, I can't. Like my anxiety is not going to let me. I think sometimes you also have to push past your anxiety to do things that are good for your kids and just teach them, like, obviously, you don't bounce at the edge and you don't try to double bounce each other. That happens, but you try not to do it and like have a limit to how many kids can be on the trampoline at once kind of thing. And if you do a net, I mean, it's pretty hard to bounce them out. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I have had other people ask me about like canoe trips because they're feeling nervous about like camping by water. And
Oh,
that's kind of like my same answer. Like you have to kind of choose like where you're at on the anxiety level with
hmm
this specific thing. And if you want to
yeah,
bring it into your life or if not, like then you gotta realize that and choose kind of thing.
exactly. Yeah, and for us, the risk is worth it. For things like canoe trips, which we're also doing a canoe trip this summer. I forgot about that. But like making sure our kids can swim or having life jackets on them when they're little enough that they're not swimming. So
Mhm.
we've always done canoe trips and everything too. And our kids all swim better than I do at this point. So I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, you just have to decide if it's worth it to you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think creating that real life fear and reality of what the situation is. But it sounds
Mhm.
like you guys might have been able to create that as you live by a river.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to teach them early. And like it's a little ways to the river, but it's still on the property and it's still like if they go out to see the horses, which they didn't when they were little, they weren't supposed to anyway.
Mhm.
You could be pretty close to the river. You just have to learn early that that is something that is actually very dangerous and you have to know how to react around it. And you
Mhm.
always go all when you're little. So, yeah.
Good. And yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about is like doing these things outside with our kids and so being present with them as they're learning
Mhm.
these things. So that's so good. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on, Ayla. Please share where we can follow along, see what your summer plans are going to be like, and if you have any call to action for us today.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. We're the Wilderness family with 2 L's in wilderness because we are the Wills. And we're on Instagram and Facebook. Hopefully YouTube coming soon, but we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I just want to encourage people. My biggest thing is always just to get outside, spend more time with your kids and actually living life and enjoying the little moments instead of thinking you need to like have something big and over the top all the time. It's the little moments that you'll actually remember, and that's what's important to our kids and our relationship with them in the long run.
That's so good. Thank you, Ayla. That's a beautiful note to end off on, and I'm grateful that you came and shared today.
Thanks for having me.
I just wanted to say thank you for being here. If it sparked something in you or made you think of a friend, would you please send it their way? Word of mouth is everything for this growing little podcast community, and I'm super grateful for everyone sharing. So, like always, I've dropped all the links of the places we've talked about and maybe any gear recommendations in the show notes, so check it out there, and we'll catch you next time.